Okay, just waiting for this to load up. So creating the Dragoncliff Manor in Basic Edition, and one of the things I was asked for from one of my patrons was basic scripting. And I'm going to do my ultimate best to explain how some of this works. And I can't guarantee that it'll be perfect, and I can't guarantee that I won't confuse somebody, but these are pretty basic scripts that I think you'll be able to follow along on. So we're going to look at basic enable, disable parameters. So changing the pictures around, which is in the main and the children's or family version, but in the basic version I'm going to be taking out all of the extra pictures and paintings and stuff that people don't actually necessarily care about. They want to be able to use Dragoncliff Manor more or less to display items and that sort of thing, but at least we can go through some of the basic scriptings and how syntax works and all of that. So we're here in Dragoncliff Manor, and one of the neat little features is the ladders that were put in. So there's a couple things that you need to know. These are invisible markers. They can do just about you can use them for pretty much anything. Activators, you can use them for, I've got them for invisible storage units for people. You know, I'll put up giant bookcases with statics on it, but you can actually sort of add items into them because there's an invisible marker, and these markers can't be seen once you're in the game. These are what you call XMarker headings. Where this triangle beak points out, that's where whatever NPC is placed, or that's what they're going to match up with. And then we also have just regular X markers that just sort of denotes that that's what this sort of thing is, and that's what that is. And you know, you can see the mannequins here with that. So real quick here, we have an activator, and once you touch this activator, it's going to send you to the teleport marker downstairs. In the base scripts, there's a default MoveTo script, so that's what this is built on, but rather than use a vanilla script that somebody else might alter in another mod or update or anything like that, we don't want to use vanilla scripts, we want to use our own. So once you create a script and tell the game to have a script, you've got an object reference. So it's not an NPC, it's not a container, it's not part of a quest or anything. We're calling object reference. And that's what it's extending. You need to have that particular object reference, which is going to be our teleport marker. We say auto here, and I'll explain why we use the auto in a moment. So the event that we are using is going to be OnActivate. When we are activating this, you have to do this. You also have OnSpell effect, so if we were using a spell instead, then it would say once the spell effect goes into place, such and such happens. And there's a few others, but for now we're going to keep to activate. So OnActivate, the object reference that we are referring to, so this up here, is going to take the person activating it, or it's just, sorry, this is the action that is happening, is the activate. You're going to get the player, because the player's going to activate it. NPCs really don't activate these sort of things. And you're going to move to the teleport marker, right? You see this property here? It says teleport marker. And we've got the object reference here that is activating. Move to teleport marker. And then we end the event. And that's it. So it'll compile. And Once it's done compiling, it'll say everything's fine there. You'd save. And then here's the properties. So this XMarker heading is where you teleport down to. Very, very simple. This sort of thing is very, very easy, just like this right here. You've got your properties, and your XMarker heading is up here. One of the things that I do for my mods nowadays is I'll make usually a reference editor ID up here. So I'll say, you know, top left ladder TP marker. And then when you go down and you look at your gray activator here and you do properties, it'll show that name that we filled in, top left ladder TP marker. So I know that I've picked the right one. If we accidentally selected a different reference and maybe one that was outside, and it would sort of be like, I don't know, you would end up being outside, but I mean that's been known to happen a few times. So it's always good to have those references around. So the other one is alright, so one of the things that people ask about quite often is like the children's door or the guest bedroom door, depending on which version you're using. It says go to, and it still has, you know, Dragoncliff Manor in it. Now the reason why is this door here actually teleports you over here. Because the meshes here don't directly line up properly inside the creation kits, I had to move the children's rooms over here. I'm gonna wait for this to save real quick. So now we've got pictures that are up here. I'm going to hit my one button twice to hide the activator. So we've got a picture here, and we've got a picture underneath it. And you see that this is connected to something because there's a line to it, right? So we have this set up to this XMarker here, okay? So you can have whichever paintings that you want. So this activator here is, I don't have the script on here, do I? I need to find out real quick. Wonder if the bedroom ones are on here inside. Okay, I've got those in a different folder. So regardless of the pictures or the bands, one of the things that Archimage and I did was make sure that you could either have children's bands or followers bands. So the paintings, the bands, all of that stuff falls under the same category of enable, disable. So you can see that XMarker here. You've got an adult bed or a child bed. Now the adult bed is set to initially disable, because we want to start with the children's bed instead. So when you look here, it says that we're going to enable the parents. So here's the parent. All you have to do is just select it there. Oh, I did the wrong one. And it's selected. Now the big bed is initially disabled. It's set to exactly the same XMarker, but we want to enable state opposite of parent. So if this XMarker is enabled, the adult bed is disabled. And if you push the button because you don't want children's beds, you want adult beds, it's going to hide the children's bed and it's going to pop in the adult bed. And this is pretty easy. OnActivate. So when we activate this button, just like before, and of course we've got our property up here. If the child band is enabled, so if this XMarker is enabled, we want it to disable when we touch that button. Else, if the child band, oh, thank you CK for just arbitrarily moving me somewhere. I love getting lost on the creation kit. Where the hell did my children's room just go to? There we go. Sorry, sometimes moving stuff around will get you lost. Anyway, let's try this again. So if we have the child band is enabled, which is what it starts out with, and we press the button, it will then disable it. Otherwise, if the child band is disabled, which is where the else comes from, we're going to enable it. Because all of these are set to this button here, this is the button that gets enabled or disabled. As a parent, that means if this is disabled and you're set to this as a parent, so you'll be disabled too. Or if enabled, you'll be enabled. If you're set opposite to it, then if it's enabled, you're disabled. If it's disabled, you're enabled. That's pretty much it. There's nothing majorly exciting about it. There's nothing that's terribly complicated about it. That's pretty much all it does. There is a default script in the creation kit that does the same thing. And I'll find that really, really, really quick here. Trying to remember what that name is. I'm just going to find it. I'm going to hit add. Once we hit add, the game will sort of pause for a moment. It'll go through all the scripts and try to find every single one in your directory. I have probably 10,000 scripts in my directory. I have to have vanilla ones. I have to check scripts from other games. It's all quite enough fun. So we're just going to wait here while it pulls up. Okay. It's called default activate toggle length reference. So OnActivate, whatever your reference is, it'll just toggle it off and on. That's it. That's all it really does. That's what some of these are as well. They just allow you to toggle this stuff on and off. And it's the same for the Dragoncliff painting. It's connected to this. So if you decide that you don't want flowers, you can have the other scenes instead. That's pretty much it. That's pretty basic on that. And because it comes with defaulted scripts, you can actually just copy paste, use your own. The most important part of your scripts, is always going to have the right reference here. making sure you know which reference that this is activating to push on. You know, so as long as you know which one is being activated, that's what's going to be activated. That's kind of it. Someone else was asking for, sometimes I have custom containers, but that stuff's pretty easy to do. That doesn't, you know, it doesn't require any outside sources. So here is the soul gem. One of these is the container. So here's the invisible container. What it has here is it's got the model, is the markers, miscellaneous. And you just go there, tap it on there, and now this will hold the soul gems. If I wanted to, I can actually restrict this. And you can say that it's only going to accept certain items either in a form list or keywords. And that's all it will accept. Now, here's a couple of the custom activator displays. So what we have here is, let's say you get the black star, right? And you want to be able to display it. First, you need to create a static, and that is super easy. You just grab the clutter. So you go up to items, miscellaneous, look for actually zero store. This will actually be under. So the soul gem here, you come down here and you copy paste so you hit edit, and that's the right one you want, and then you go into your statics, and then you create a new, and you can say, you know, dark star static or whatever you want to name it, and you just copy paste, and the game will render what it is. So you don't have to use an outside static mesh. You can just use whatever's in the game and make it into a static, and it works just perfectly fine. So you have these set up as a static, and you make sure it's initially disabled. And then you have, these scripts are basically from the claw activators that you can find in-game. So you'll have the property. So what property is that? Well, we're putting on a soul gem, and we have to name it. So we're keeping it as claw to place, since that's from the basic game script. We're not going to change it. We don't really care. So we have a Boolean. Booleans are always true or false. And so it's going to be false, and we're going to hide that. And if you don't have the right item, we're going to have our message property. We're going to fill it in with what the failed message is. Okay. So here's the activate. Again, right, because we're activating it. So we need to get the item count of this up here. How many soul gems? Does the player have equal to or more than one? Because if they don't have at least one, we're not going to place it. So then we place it on there. It's true. They're going to enable the static item to show. You're going to remove the item. It's claw to place here, which you see here, and we're only going to remove one, because if you've got 2 or 4 in your inventory, I'll try to remove all of them. So we're just going to do one. Else, if you don't have that many, we're going to show the failed message. If it's already placed, we're going to disable it. So if you've placed it and you want it back, it will take that item that you placed there and add one back. So then you go into your properties, and we're saying that this is the item that needs to go into that section. and default lack the item message is what will show if we don't have that item to place. And that's it when you activate it. And on here we've got it's our player activation, and we just make sure that all of it can show up. And then you make another, and then this one. So again, you just have the same script on this, and you see which one it's going to go on there, and the message that can't go on there, and that's pretty much it. And you can actually do that for anything. You can do, if you want to display the Elder Scrolls stuff, you've got your property here, you tell it what to display, and you're good to go. That's pretty much it. That's very, very easy as long as you make, so you got to make all of the statics first so that they know what to display. And where's some of my display stuff? So now if you look down in the armory, you can display your Daedric artifacts, you can display the axe that you find, all of that stuff that people enjoy looking for and finding. And Dragoncliff Manor, you can store all of the Thieves Guild stuff. You can store like the Ebony Mail, you can do the maps, you can do the Archmage robes, you can do the claws. I've got masks over here, and try to remember. Oh yeah, upstairs in the bedroom. So in the master bedroom, you can do the amulets and all of the portal gems, and downstairs you can do, I'm trying to remember which ones we put down here. Oh yeah, Mirren's Razor, I've got the horn over here. I pretty much think just about any collectible item can actually be stored in Dragoncliff Manor. The fireflies or bugs that you can catch can be stored here. I mean, it's pretty much whatever you want to put in there, you can. And I could do other stuff too if I wanted. You could do particular potions, you could do quest items, anything that you can make into a static and you want to enable disable it, and you can absolutely do. That's pretty much it as far as scripting goes. That's really not that difficult. You just need to find something in game that already has that type of script that you know can be done. There are so many in the game, you know, as far as how to activate and some of the scripts that they have, and all of that stuff really. There's some stuff requires adding on top of that, some stuff requires being unique, but for the most part, if you can find it in the game, if there's a similar ability in the game, you just build on it. The most important parts of your script is going to be, you know, are you activating it when somebody touches it, or is it going to be an own spell effect? So as long as you know what your property is and what you are referencing at any given time, then you'll be good to go. I'm not going to go into scripting quests. I think that Bethesda does that better. They've got an entire quest lines up that you can follow and do, and that will be a lot better than if I get into it, because a lot of the times when I'm doing, you know, quests and stuff like that, I sort of just do it after a while. I think that's kind of the biggest problem, is you just keep doing things over and over and over again, and you just get so used to it, it's sort of like, how did I do that again? But enable disable is pretty common. It's something that a lot of people enjoy doing. It gets your feet wet into what's going on, and allows for good things. Other things to note, that when it comes to spells and having like effects, when you want to like script a certain effect. So one thing to remember is you've got like the silver sword enchants, which it's supposed to play a part. Why isn't this playing a part? Oh, that's hilarious. I have to find the silver. There's one, like the silver, if you're using the silver sword, it adds a perk. I'm trying to remember which. That one is used quite often, so if you've got... Here it is, the silver sword script. So if you've got a weapon that you want to add a certain property to, you can actually just use the silver sword script. It says when you equip, you're going to add a perk, the perk to the player, and if you unequipped it, it will remove the perk. So you've got your silver perk is what you're adding, right? So your perk property is a silver perk. Always write auto. Events is your unequipped, which of course is your actor. And this actor here is going to add the perk. Which perk is it adding? It's adding the silver perk, which is what you fill up here. So when you have this particular perk on, it's going to calculate your weapon damage. It's going to add 20 points. It's going to say that in order to add this extra 20 points, you have to have the material silver, and the target has to be this. Other mods out there modify the silver perk, and you know, so it kind of depends on what you want. But let's say you want somebody to equip an item that does extra damage to such and such target when you're using it. Follow the silver perk stuff. That's how you, and then you duplicate, you rename it yourself. You don't want to touch vanilla items ever. You do not want to modify anything base game. You will screw people's games. Duplicate, edit it to what you want, add it on, you're good to go. That's pretty much it. I know, a lot of people are very excited about mods, and getting mods, but the actual modding stuff is usually kind of tedious. There's a lot of stuff going on, and quite frankly, for most people, it's boring. They just want the finished product. There's not really sure what else to say or what more I can add other than when it comes to scripting. Practice, practice, practice. Look at how the base game sets up stuff and mimic what's already there. Always have your properties sorted out. Anytime that you have a papyrus error when you are working in you know, when you're testing this and stuff like that, and you've got a papyrus log error, you can actually go to Orthmar's AFK mods, and there's a Skyrim interpreting papyrus log errors that you can actually look through and look at what kind of errors that can be happening, because you can compile a script that the game will say this is fine, but at runtime it doesn't run properly. And that's all the advice I can really give on scripting. It's a lot of monkey see, monkey do, and getting in there and just doing it. So anyways, I'm going to sign off now, and from this, if there's anything more specific, that information that we can give out for doing this, I'll do it to the best of my ability. Anyways, you all have a great day.